Welcome, friends, to episode 252 of Color Magic, a Magic Gaming podcast where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 252 episodes, still got my main man, Brian Sonic. How's it going, brother?
It is going. We are in the Madden is dropping, so everything's wild right now.
That was the early play was this week or whatever, right?
Yep, it officially comes out Friday, but at this point, I won't say everybody, but I think probably everybody's doing content buys the early access, or if you want to be playing any of the competitive modes, you buy the early access so you can figure out what the new plays are and what works and how many of your plays from last year still work, or if they're even still in the book, that kind of stuff.
Man, early access is so good for companies now because
Yep.
you almost get to make money to have people like bug test it quickly for you. You know what I mean? So you get like 3-4 days that if something does pop up, y'all can go back in the lab, put out the
Right.
update, before everybody else buys it and downloads it. Such a
This
smart
year,
idea.
this year, I guess Madden had even more early access than they planned to because it leaked about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just so many people were involved with stuff because of the NCAA game. Kind of open that possibility.
Apparently, the glitch was, I guess, that Xbox has remote play. You can play without a console, technically.
Oh,
And I guess they didn't test how that feature worked within, stuff like this.
but how does remote play work if you don't have a console?
You can play on your phone or a tablet or any device to which you can stream anything powerful enough to stream an Xbox to, which at this point, apparently even your smart TV now can stream you can buy a Fire Stick that's essentially an Xbox.
All right. That seems kind of cool.
Problem and this is, I guess, the biggest problem they had so far is that's what people apparently were using to play Madden. So now I guess EA even gonna let them touch Madden next year? Who knows?
Yeah, who the hell knows?
I didn't see anybody playing on their console. Everybody I heard that was doing it was they had remote play, or doing it on phone, tablet, or Fire Stick or something.
Hell, we don't even know what Microsoft's going to look like a year from now at this rate. So
also that.
Who the hell knows? But yeah, before we get into things, don't forget you can go to patreon.com/colorofmagic. You can support the show for just a couple of dollars and you get a shout out, just like Jonathan Zybel. So thanks for being a patron, brother. All right, so we're going to do something a little bit different with this episode. We have a couple of bits of news we want to talk about. But after that, we're going to answer a bunch of questions that we took from our patrons because we have quite a few. So we took some from the Discord and they're kind of interesting. And we figured this would be like a belated 250th episode to kind of let you get more of an insight about us and things we think about stuff or whatever that aren't necessarily about other things, but it's about us. So to start with, though, there was an interesting thing we saw announced last week that Star City Games is going to be bringing back live commentary for their events. This is something we haven't had for a while from them. There's been some smaller organizations running stuff that had commentary. And then, when I've done stuff with like the team for Arena, we've had live coverage for the Arena Opens or Arena Championships. And we've had stuff for the Pro Tours, but there hasn't been a lot at like that mid tier. And that's really where Star City kind of like got notoriety with a lot of people. And it was big news. And they're coming back with the big commentary team, so the people that everybody wanted to see again, Patrick Sullivan, and you also got Cedric that are going to be one team. And then you have Corey Ballmeister and Elliot is going to be on the other one. So it's like we have quality people that have been doing commentary before that people like. So they're spending real money, getting real people. They didn't just say like, hey, let's find somebody. And for those who don't know, Elliot is Elias V. Sorry, I should probably put that out there. Some people may only know her streaming name or whatever. But that's actually really cool that this is coming back. So people seemed excited about it. And I don't know, Brian, is this like saying like, hey, we're starting to return back to pre-COVID levels that they can justify it?
I certainly hope so. That's what I hope, and maybe at some point they're able to hire some more writers too. So we'll see how all that goes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, right? Like, at what point do we reach that next step? Because one of the reasons they had a bunch of writers is because people were following competitive play and they kind of wanted people's thoughts broken down or whatever, right? Like, what does this big player think about this? Or this player who top 8'd, does a tournament and deck breakdown or whatever, and people want to read all about it so they understand the deck. We kind of reached a point weirdly where that level of journalism turned into just video at some point, but not everybody's good on video, right? Some people don't like recording stuff. So I don't know. Does this apply to video games? 'Cause I know you're writing a lot for video game sites. Like, what is the kind of ratio right now in the video game world for, I guess, video reporting versus written reporting?
I mean, it's right now we're still trying to survive the gimmick apocalypse. So you just hope that you can get a gig somewhere doing something. Is kind of the point that we're at right now. It's not even because it's just as we talked about. I guess was that last week the Game Informer
Yeah.
major layoffs. Yeah, so many things happened. It feels like it feels like more than a week ago. But yeah, that's like kind of where we are. It's just trying to figure. And I just found apparently Walmart has their own gaming news site now.
I heard rumblings of something
Yeah,
like
which is the
that.
thing that just I didn't know anything about that. Just I saw it in one of my writer groups. Hey, what is this? And yeah, and then the rates were kind of more than a lot of people are paying. It's like what did so I just did some diving. Apparently, it is they said their news is independent, but the thing is they are monetized by if you click on one of their stories. And let's say you want to buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 27 or whatever, you click on that, it takes you to a Walmart link.
I mean, that makes sense though.
I mean, if that works, that
Yeah.
maybe could be a way to hopefully save video game journalism.
I mean, because that was kind of how it was if you were writing for Channel Fireball or Star City. It's
Yeah,
like if something got mentioned, it was all hyperlinks to put something in your cart so you could buy it when you're done reading the article.
exactly. So maybe that's what video games need. As I said, I hope it works for them because that could be the model for how gaming sites will get monetized in the future.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've seen a few Magic creators have been hired by some of these bigger sites to write Magic articles.
Yeah.
So maybe there is something coming back for that because there is an argument to be made that for some things there might be visual overload, right? Where sometimes you just want to read a thing. You don't need
Yeah.
all the audio and whatever that comes with it. And I know even when I was at Wizards, there was a push being made for even when we made a video to just have the written transcript. So if somebody just wants to read the thing instead of watch the thing, like it was possible as well.
Also, I still
So
feel like the overwhelming majority of video game content is more just, hey, when does this game come out? As opposed to anything, anything deeply investigated. Now, one of the exceptions is DBG, who does a lot of NBA 2K stuff. And he was talking about how just basically the decline of the franchise and how it's become largely a casino to some extent as opposed to a video game. And he's one of the people he does basically a documentary kind of every year about a year in review of everything that happened in NBA 2K, and it's he was actually cited in the New York Times when they saw of this and did the story like, hey, why is this basketball game? Why does it look like a casino? They talked to him. He talked about how it's really just he almost only plays now to create content because it really has not been fun anymore with all the stuff that's going on.
interesting. Huh. Yeah. There's a lot going on in gaming as far as content goes. So this is kind of cool. I will say if anybody wants to check it out, it's going to be October 4th. Not sponsored, but SCG Con be the first time they're rolling it back out. And to be fair, I expect it to be pretty good because Star City was kind of like the pioneers of really doing heavy commentary outside of Wizards of the Coast. So it'll probably be a pretty good production between the talent and the history that they have. But Brian, there's another interesting thing that popped up because we've been saying this that every game, every company is always looking to cross brand, right? They may not always do it, but they know there's money in it. And Warner Brothers just put it out in the open officially that they are looking to bring in more companies for Multiversus. So I don't know. How do you feel about this? Because we've been talking about it, but what do you think the potential is here?
I mean, why would you not do it for with the platform fighter? They can have anybody. They just announced Beetlejuice is going to be in, I believe, August 20th. It's a game where you can have Beetlejuice fighting Superman. Why would you not bring in any license you can bring in? That's Smash Bros did that with after it became really big with Nintendo product, they started reaching out to let's get a Konami in here and put Simon Belmont from Castlevania in here and Cloud and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. That kind of is the industry standard now for platform fighters. If you
Yeah,
can,
get you a Sonic in there, you
yeah,
know.
provide you can get your platform fighter to year 2 or 3. Not everybody is able to do that, but it's looking
That's
like
very true.
Multiversus is going to have some legs. It started kind of as a joke almost, and then became a meme. And it's like Walter White and Multiversus. Hey, we're trying. We want to do it. If they want to do it, we absolutely want to do it, which would be hilarious. I absolutely hope it happens.
Okay, so Beetlejuice does bring up an interesting point because one, Beetlejuice as a character can do damn near anything, so it's like
Yeah,
the perfect type of character for a fighter game because you can have
right.
him flinging stuff, you can have him stretching out, you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want. But with the movie releasing soon, this does create an idea that could be good for other studios. Like imagine if possible, they could have had Wolverine and Deadpool in there, say,
right.
3 months ago, right? Leading up to the movie release. That would have been pretty smart, right? If they could have pulled it off. Now, they may not have known it was even an option at this point, but
Yeah.
now going forward, can you get a couple of Star Wars characters in there or Marvel characters or whatever the case may be?
I fully expect Marvel to do their own one. Marvel/Disney to do their own one of these at some point. Because we've seen now, Warner Brothers has done it, and people like it. Nickelodeon did one that it's not quite as well received, but I mean, especially the second one is really well done. The first one was just they spent no money and launched without voice clips, and for a platform fighter, SpongeBob, who doesn't talk, is not SpongeBob. So that's part of why it failed miserably.
Yeah, I guess they have the basis of an agreement already, right? Because they have Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah, so that's the thing is they may they may just go. Capcom's done a great job, so yeah, I don't know if they're looking to.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that when I initially said
But
it, but
they're putting all their people in Fortnite, so
oh, that is true too. Yeah,
it may just
man.
depend on whether they Capcom actively has a project that they've pitched and is being worked on. Which Gamescom is this week, so if anything like that is happening, then we might find something like that out this week.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, and I get it. People with Magic are just like, but why are they putting this in our Magic? Or why? And again, we already know Marvel's coming. We
Yeah,
already know Final Fantasy's coming, right?
money.
And I guarantee you, come October, we're gonna find out about at least one new Universes Beyond thing that's gonna get announced in
Yep,
October, going into November. So like we know that's gonna be a thing.
right.
But we've seen the success, right? Even in Magic. Like, what the only one that hasn't sold fantastic was the Assassin's Creed one, really, and it was a small set and the weird boosters and whatever.
And then they unfortunately fell right into the middle of a huge controversy. Like, was this Black Samurai a samurai? They had. That's one of the downsides of Universes Beyond is you have no way of controlling what another company is doing with their property. So they just kind of nobody could. I mean, yeah, anytime you have a black character in the lead, there's going to be knuckleheads. But I mean, I don't. Magic couldn't have foreseen this. This is essentially
Oh,
like
sure,
this
but
is
even then,
Gamergate.
I would say if you run down the list of projects, so we're talking about Lord of the Rings, Fallout, Doctor Who, Warhammer 40K, right? If you have one miss, fine,
Exactly.
right? Tatsunu Miku stuff is sold crazy. We had the instant sellout of the Monty Python stuff a couple weeks ago or whatever. So just like it's working. Why would they not keep doing it? And that's what I keep telling people. We may not like it as an old head or whatever, but like at the end of the day, somebody likes it because they're buying it in droves.
Right.
Like, and the number of people we've seen that have said, like, oh, well, I was able to get my cousin or my wife or whoever to start playing Magic because of insert this Universes Beyond thing, right? So it's like it's doing exactly what it's meant to do. And I bet we're seeing the same thing for other games because we used to see that, like Mortal Kombat for a while was
Yeah.
introducing different characters. I mean, they haven't done it in a while, but
Oh no, they're still doing it.
oh, are
They
they?
got
I didn't
the
even know that
latest.
was in the latest one.
The latest one has Omni Man, Terminator, and I mean it's like
Oh,
Terminator.
does it?
I think it's T2. It's Robert Patrick. They
Oh,
put
the
everything.
T1000.
Yeah, Homelander. I mean everybody's in. Apparently Ghostface is going to be in there. So yeah, MK's still doing that.
Yeah, it's a work. It works, man. It's a proven policy.
And of course, Omni Man especially is perfect for a game in which people rip each other's limbs off and throw each other
Not
through
fair.
end walls. And his fatality is, of course, a spoiler for anybody that hadn't seen Invincible, but the train station.
So yeah, I would expect we're just gonna see it as the way of the world,
Yeah,
and part of it too, I think, is just gaming culture or nerd culture. I wouldn't even say just gaming culture, but
yeah,
nerd culture has kind of become ubiquitous with pop culture at this point. So everybody's kind of interested in a multiple different things. And if they have a fandom, like we're saying, Marvel fans might want to see their stuff in multiverses and see Wolverine take on, I don't know, LeBron from Space Jam or something.
right.
Like whatever, right? Whatever crazy thing you can do. So like it's wide open, man. It's a crazy, crazy time right now.
And even within the game, Multiversus has so many, because the thing, one of the things that makes this is the thing that Smash Bros. Doesn't do. Yes, Mario fights Cloud, but none of their voice lines acknowledge that Mario is fighting Cloud. I mean, especially in Multiversus, Rick Sanchez has voice lines for everybody. Where he just, if he fights the Joker, he'll say something along the lines of, "If you say one word about living in society, I swear I'll kill you." So it
You
really
know,
feels like they are in a shared universe, and everybody knows who everybody is and know everybody's backstory.
I think that's a good point. I would imagine for platformers that do that in the future, that's going to be a very big wanted thing.
Yeah,
Because I was just talking about this playing Baldur's Gate 3 still, realizing that they made a different part of story for all the different like types of clerics you can be.
right.
Right? So like depending on what type of cleric, there's different story points and characters react to things
Yeah.
differently or whatever. So you could literally pick different backgrounds for all the different classes and not play the same identical game that you played previously.
Even Madden is starting to figure this out, because in their career mode this year, there are quests you can. Madden has side quests, y'all. That's where we've arrived there, where you can do an interview and they may ask, okay, for example, I'm a quarterback, so they say, what are you going to bring to this team? And you have this response, or you might say, hey, I have a rocket arm. They're going to give you a bunch of passing milestones to hit. Or you do what I said, I'm a dual threat. I like to run. So now I got a bunch of, oh, you might be able to break Lamar Jackson's rushing touchdown record, or whoever has and so on. So depending on which reactions you give, there's a whole different set. And I think they said there's over 900 in the game. So
Oh gosh.
that's Baldur's Gate level replayability. And obviously, I'm a stat nerd. I want to break all the touchdown records.
That's fine. Maybe we've just reached a new direction for gaming as a whole because it seems to be everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is pretty cool, man. Like I constantly tell people, if you'd have told 20-year-old me what gaming was going to be like today, I'd have just called you a liar.
Pop culture in general. If you told me at 10 years old that Green Arrow and Flash will have their own TV shows on
Good
cable
TV
TV,
shows.
right? Flash, I might have believed, because CBS had done that before. Green Arrow, like, there's no way Green
Yeah.
Arrow's getting a TV show. I was not even see. It's almost a D-list hero, but it happened.
No, the one that would have got me is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Also true.
Because man, I remember having to explain that to my woman of just like, I don't know, man, if people are going to be into this. And she's like, why? Like, it's got this weird experimental angry raccoon, and like there's a tree that talks. And she's like,
Disney.
what? And
This is
I'm like, yeah, these are real. The books are not, the comics aren't great. Like,
this is a
like,
perfect Disney movie: a talking raccoon in a tree.
though, dude, I'm, no spoilers, I guess, because some people may not have seen it, even though it's a couple years old now. But man, that third Guardians of the
Oh
Galaxy,
yeah, yeah,
oh man, you talk
man.
about going for the tears. Oh, they were up in your feelings bad in that one,
Yeah, they
man.
were.
There was a point when like he's talking to the other animals toward the end when he realizes what's about to go down.
Yeah,
Dude, it was hard not to cry, man.
right.
For real. It got me. I
It's
was
a
right on the
Disney
edge.
movie. It's talking animals hitting you in all the feels. They Disney that movie, and Disney is a multi-billion-dollar company, or probably trillion at this point, for a reason. They
Dude, all
know
I
how
was
to do
thinking is Disney was waiting for that, like their Bambi moment, right?
this.
Like
Yep.
they were just waiting. We need one in one of these Marvel movies, and like this is it. And they
Right.
went all in on it. It was crazy. All right. All that aside, let's answer some questions from our patrons because there's some interesting ones here. So we'll start with the first one. This comes from It's Jacob J in the Discord. Says, I'm curious if y'all have ever experienced gaming burnout. And in parentheses here, they say for them, burnout being nothing seems fun. You're going through the motions with some games. And if so, how have we worked through it or with it? So that's a good question, dude. Have you ever gone through stretches of burnout with just gaming as a whole?
Oh, I think definitely because as we talk about here, our favorite companies sometimes do things that seem to be just the polar opposite of what a good company would do in that situation. Like we talked about, with the bans that Wizards didn't do. I'm sure people were sitting there. We were all, even the people that play those horrible decks, were sitting there waiting for things to get banned, and then nothing happened. Or, one of the things I do, like not just Man, but all the games that have some kind of ultimate team mode, to me, almost some of the collecting and the buying is as much fun as the actual playing of the game. And a couple of years ago now, Madden, just because they had, supposedly because there were a bunch of bots and bad activity, they just turned the ability to trade things off, and
Oh,
and they haven't ever brought it back. So it's just, that was part of the fun. Was you're like a 10-year-old kid. Hey, I got Emmett Smith. I'll trade you Brett Favre or for Brett Favre or whatever. We still can't do that, and that was just. It wasn't just a lot of people were talking about how that just killed a lot of the fun for them, and
huh.
that
Yeah,
was
I would say for me, okay. This week actually, I started to feel it a little bit, and that's mostly because I'm prepping a bunch of stuff, so I have things ready to go next week because I'm going to take some downtime from recording or whatever. But outside of that, I think it's because I generally have some varied interests that I don't spend too long on one thing. If something's not fun for me and starting to burn out, I just go do something else. Like I'll just go play some board games or I'll just go out and disc golf or, I'll play some team fight tactics for a while instead of more arena or whatever the case might be. So I think that's what helps me keep from suffering burnout. I think it's tough for some people because their game becomes their identity. And then if you're struggling with that game or you're not having the success you want, that starts messing with you mentally a little bit. And I think that
yeah,
adds to it. So I've been
definitely.
very lucky about that of saying, like, let it be part of your identity, but don't let it be the whole of your identity. I think helps a lot. But yeah, that's kind of been my thing is I just try not to dwell too much on one thing. If something's making me unhappy, then I just don't play it for a while. I'll keep up with it, still like checking in, reading some of the news things, see what comes through on the
But
social
now
media
with
feed.
Magic, you really can't do that because you put out videos pretty much daily. So there's
Oh,
not really a
sure.
point where you can stop playing Magic for say 2 weeks.
But I've also had times where I've just played enough, recorded my content, edited, and then just walked away from the computer. Right? Did enough to get the job done, and then that was it. That's my magic for the day. And if it's just an hour or two, then that's it. Don't really force myself to do it if I'm not feeling it. But I would also say, as a content creator, it's different than just playing something for fun, right? Because doing something because you have to, or that's how your income's attached, is way different than say if I want to play TFT. Like I could do whatever.
Yeah,
There's no objective. I'm just like trying weird stuff or whatever. I'm whereas with Magic, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to build a specific deck or I'm trying to solve a certain problem or whatever the topic is for the video. Right. When I'm playing other stuff, it's just like, let's just throw stuff at the wall and see what happens. And if the result sucks, doesn't matter. I'm not recording it anyway. You
and
know?
then also when it's your job, like because as I talk about Madden launch, like it launched this week. I got a bunch of stories due, so no matter how, even if I don't feel like doing it, I literally got to do it.
Yeah, you gotta eat.
Right?
So yeah, that's probably it. I think when you're doing it for content purposes, it's just a job. It's like anything else. You probably don't like your regular 9 to 5 that you clock into all the time, but it's how you pay your bills. You got to go do it for fun, though. I don't think I've had burnout on anything at a fun level because, like I said, I just don't do it for a while. I just walk away from it. You know. This next question is from Ankle Shot, which is a hilarious name.
Right. And I've probably landed a few of those in my gaming career.
Says, I'm curious if there are any games that you have avoided specifically because of a hostile reputation, or games whose communities changed to the point that you would be willing to give them a chance or felt forced to leave. Yeah, for me it's easy. For me it's League of Legends and it's not even close.
That definitely is the one that
I mean, I've told people before, it's by far and away the worst. And like when I tried to ask other people who play League of Legends about it, and I'm like, okay, is it just me perceiving it this way or what's going on? And they're like, oh no, our community is trash. And I'm like, so they know, right? Like, so even people that play it know it's that way. So I'm like, all right, it's not just me.
I'd say
But yeah, go
Call
ahead.
of Duty is probably every bit as bad, I would say, but Call of Duty is less complex. So League of Legends. Let's say you're a brand new player that you don't know where to go or where the dragon is or even what the dragon is. There are so many things that just and as a new player, and this experience I had, they will talk about you like a dog for not knowing all these things. And yeah, you've played the game for 6 years. You know it. This is my fourth or fifth game. I don't know when it's time to go to Baron or any of those, or what items to build or any of those, all that stuff.
Dude, literally, I the last time I played, I was in the lobby, right? We're loading up and you're picking your characters or whatever. I told the other people, I'm like, look, I know, and I do. We were playing at the scrub level. Like I'm
Right.
like, no points, no nothing, just scrub level, right? And I told them, like, guys, I played for a bit, but I'm still pretty trash. So if y'all are trying to rake up or practice or try stuff, like I can just go get into another queue. Everybody's like, nah, it's cool, whatever. This is the low levels. We expect people to not be great, whatever. Within the first 5 minutes, the dude is just giving me and another person on the team all the business. I mean, like, just y'all are trash. I don't know why you're not doing this, and y'all should be. Why are y'all in that lane? And your character should be doing. I'm like, dude, I told you I wasn't no good.
By the way, he's at the low rank too, which means he
I
doesn't know what he's doing
know.
either. It's not
That's
like he's a
exactly it.
smurf. He's at bronze or iron level or whatever too. While he's talking
Yeah,
trash.
that's the part I didn't understand. I'm like, dude, we're all bumming right now. Like, what are you even mad about? And the game was still close because our opponents were trash too. So
Exactly. It's
like
that
it didn't
level.
even matter. Right. But it was just like the fact that this dude's throwing out all types of negative language, slurs, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't have time for this.
Because League of Legends, I think probably most competitive games, League of Legends know for a fact, Overwatch, if somebody actually knows what they're doing, yes, they as a, let's say, platinum rank, if they're playing in gold or any level below, yeah, they're gonna house everybody. So I'll tell people like, look, unless you're that good, shut up.
Yeah, and even if you
You
were,
don't know what you're doing either, clearly, or you wouldn't be playing in this scrub rank with the rest of us.
but my point is if you were, then just take the lead.
Yeah, if you're so good,
Right, right.
carry us.
Yeah, go for it, dog. Like, I ain't gonna stop you.
Jordan, my son's good. I've seen him. He can walk into a crowd and kill 5 people at once. Like I wish I could do those things.
Oh, I know I can. But the other thing for me was that was also like when that game got done, I sat and thought about it. And I literally, I would say not even exaggerating, probably 8 out of 10 times I played League of Legends, I could have reported somebody
Mm-hmm.
for some dumb negative activity,
Yeah.
racism, whatever. And I was probably only reporting about half of them. Just I didn't want to take the time to fill out the thing and click the link and blah blah blah
Plus,
like
if you
every
file a
single time.
report every match, I feel like they're probably not paying attention to it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Your name's probably going to come across too often. They're like, this person just complains about everybody
It's
or
like
whatever.
it's like the person that calls 911 every day because
Yeah,
their
the
ankle
chicken
hurt.
littles, right?
Yeah,
So so I just quit playing. So I play TFT because I still like the property and I like some of the characters and whatever, and it's
yeah, and you don't have
related.
to interact with anybody.
Yeah, literally, communication matters not in that game at all, and I love it. So yeah, I just can't. But yeah, for me, League of Legends, not even close. Like, it's far and away the worst community of every game I've probably ever played. Let's see. Next one up from Anthony says, "Do you have a favorite casual party game?" That's a good question. Do you have a casual party game that you like?
Let me see. Mario Party's always fun.
That is true. I haven't played Mario
Mario
Party in a
Party.
minute, but I do enjoy every time I play it.
And while my kids are good at Smash Bros, when I play it's just a party game because I know they're going to stomp me. So I'm not seriously expecting to win. So if I occasionally do beat one of them, yeah, it's a celebration. But really, it's I'm not trying to play that competitively. So it kind of has party game aspects. And then of course, You Don't Know Jack is a great
Oh,
game.
I played some of those with my stream. I used to do
Yeah,
that. Those were good.
that one is really fun.
I play one. We have one called Telestrations because I made one with like a 12-person copy. And basically, everybody gets these little flip books on like a little spiral notebook. It has like, I think, 8 or 10 things on it. And you're given a word when you start with. And it's almost like the telephone game, but with pictures.
Yeah.
So you have to draw an illustration of the word and you have like a minute or whatever. And then you pass to the left. And the person has to guess what your picture is. And then so they write down their guess, and then the next person flips the page and draws based on that person's
Okay, that
guess.
does sound fun.
Yeah, then it gets all the way around, and you score extra points if like your word got all the way around, and all that other type of stuff. So that's actually pretty fun because you can play it with anybody.
Yep.
It has minimum rules. Just draw silly stick figures or whatever you're capable of or whatever. So like that's a good one. I'm trying to think what else we've played with groups board game wise. There's another one. No, that one's probably one I'd recommend for people. Telestrations is probably the
Yeah.
best one we have. Oh, Wits and Wagers. That's another one. It's
Okay.
it's a trivia game where every answer is numeric, but you don't have to know the actual answer. Like so what happens is everybody writes their answer down and then you basically you lay them out based on the values of the answer, lowest to highest on the board. And then everybody gets to bet however many of their chips on the one that's closest to the right answer.
Oh wow.
So somebody might actually know the answer and put the right answer down, right?
Yeah.
And then they get bonus points, but usually nobody knows the actual. It's like, it'll be like how many miles is like the capital of Texas to the capital of Washington D.C. or whatever, right?
Oh wow.
Like, unless you just happen to know that, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
just making a guess and writing it down, and then everybody's betting. So you do like 2 or 3 rounds of everybody asking a question or whatever, and then whoever has the most points wins. And that's a fun one because you don't really have to know the answer ever. Like you could literally answer every single one of them wrong and still win.
Right. Like
So that
Price
one's
is Right.
actually,
You just gotta be closer than the other person.
yeah, that's exactly it.
What do,
So
do people go like $1 in the game?
no, but there are some people that like will answer low or high, thinking everybody else is going to be wrong or too high or too low or whatever, and then you see the answer and you're like, "Oh God, I was way wrong," right? Like, which also hurts you because you don't get bonus points because nobody's guessing your number.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So you don't want to purposely be too high or too low sometimes because you're costing yourself. But yeah, so there you go. Some options. There's some things out there for people. Esaviru says, do you collect physical games or are you only digital now? No, I definitely still do physical stuff.
Me too. There's
I
a
have.
M-
Oh, go ahead.
there's an MLB The Show. Basically it's designed to look like a old black newspaper that covered the Negro League games back in the day. So I don't have it yet, but at some point I'm going to get it. It looks incredible,
Oh, really?
and it comes inside the kind of like a steel book, basically. So yeah, I definitely want that
Oh, that
one.
would be cool to have.
Yeah,
I've never even seen that. I'll have to look that up
it's
later.
probably in your GameStop, like up on the top shelf. I think it's $150 or something. It's not. They know they're going to probably sell one of those a month, if that many.
Yeah, that's a cool piece, though. Yeah, I obviously anybody who's watching can see all the magic cards behind me. Like I still have physical magic cards,
Because I
but
still like, like you talked about trading, I still like going and, hey, there's a trade-in deal on such and such. So as we said last week, I'm rooting for GameStop. I want them to figure out how to get this right.
I also
I went to Best Buy. I tried to get they see one of those, I think, $10 certificates that they send you to try to get you to spend more money. And of course, as it happened, there wasn't anything I get in their game related for $10. I think I ended up
that's
buying a
tough.
couple of packs of Lorcana cards. That was all there was that I could get for $10.
Yeah, I still like physical board games too because occasionally I do have people over and it's nice just to be able to break out a game, sit 6 or 8 people down and we can just play something. So there's still just like the social interaction that comes
Yeah.
with it. Now, there are some games that I don't mind having a digital copy. So when I'm traveling, I can just pop it up on my phone or on my
Yeah.
laptop or something. And maybe it's just like me and one traveling partner, we can just play on the laptop. That's cool, while you're on the plane or whatever. But generally, I do still like having a physical copy of stuff. I
For
think there's
anybody
just
that
Mhm.
I was gonna say, for anybody in our audience that likes wrestling, there's a WWE Royal Rumble board game, and if you can find 10 people, it does seat 10 people, and you each get 3 wrestlers and do the Royal Rumble. That's a whole bunch of fun.
That actually does sound fun.
You can, there'll be there are cards where like, hey, if you want to stop somebody from getting, let's say you want to make a temporary alliance like they do in the Royal Rumble, and stop your friend from getting thrown off the top rope. Okay, I'll help you. You help me, and then of course later they don't help you, and
Well, of
it's
course.
on.
They turn on you, right?
Right?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think the physical game market's still very big. I mean, we still see they're selling, as much as people say Wizards just trying to pump up Arena and blah blah. It's like paper still makes a significant amount more than Arena does right now. Like paper products still sell for a
Right?
bunch. People still like having physical D&D books. People still like having physical board games. Hell, there's more board games today coming out than hell probably ever. Honestly,
The
there's
Renaissance.
there's a bunch on Kickstarter every month. So, yeah, not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. Brishan says, I don't have a lot of time for gaming, but you guys made gaming your profession. When did you make that decision and what prompted it and made it viable? Ooh, man, mine is a complicated answer because my whole journey, I was working for a game store.
Yeah.
Guy got an offer from one of the big distributors. He comes back, decides he needs to sell it to somebody. So me and another guy who was working for him, who had more real work, he was older than me, so he had more actual like management experience and stuff. Like we basically entered a partnership to buy the business. And there's a whole wacky story there where I bought the business for no money down and whatever. It was crazy. So, I was doing that professionally for hell 16 years, but I also like ran tournaments, ran a convention and all this other stuff, got to be a writer and then sold it to go work for Wizards for a couple of years. Then went to work for Card Kingdom for a couple of years and then got released from the Card Kingdom job and then decided, you know what? I had fun working for myself before. Let's just go back to doing that. So now I make content and do commentary and all the other stuff. So yeah, mine wasn't even, I wouldn't say like a thing of I want to do gaming for a living. It was more just like situations in front of me. Let's tackle it and see what happens. Because what else am I doing? I was 21 and I had the opportunity to own a business. Like,
Right?
yeah, of course I'm going to try. Like, my thought literally was, even if I fail, well, I have nothing right now. So, like, if it blows
Also
up
true.
tomorrow, what's the loss? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought. And since I didn't have to come up with a bunch of extra loans to get it, it was all upside, right? So yeah. And then, the other opportunities as I developed and got real skills and everything else were like, all right, let me tackle the next thing. Let me try this thing. And then eventually just like, you know what? I got some money saved up. I had a nice severance package. I have some wiggle room, a little bit of a safety net in case something happens. Let me just try it out and get back in business for myself. And that's been a little bit easier doing content because I had all that other experience of,
Definitely.
understanding what taxes are what and like what write-offs I can actually get and connections in the game industry when I needed stuff or need something for a story or whatever. Like it's all there already. So yeah, I don't know. Mine, like I said, mine's a bit of a weird journey. I'm sure yours was probably a little easier than mine.
I mean, I all wherever I was writing, I would always, hey, if there's a spare corner of space, like, hey, there's a Magic tournament in town, I go talk to a couple of Magic players, and as anybody that's ever been in any kind of newspaper newsletter knows, when there's that 10-inch blank space on the page, you don't care what it gets filled with, it just needs to be filled. So I would always stick a Magic tournament or a video game review or something in there that when I was a kid I would have liked to read in the midst of all the stuff that's you're 13, you don't know about property taxes, you don't care about property taxes, but you might care who won the local Magic tournament. And then as things went on, the newspapers it kept going belly up, and I was writing more and more video games and wrestling and Star Trek stuff, and covering less and less city council meetings, and then just woke up one day and I guess I'm a video game journalist now. Because that's all
Yeah,
that's on today's calendar. Lo and behold,
it kind of feels like that though, right? Like you sort
yeah,
of just stumble into it and then like, okay, this is my profession now.
yeah,
Right? And I always tell people I don't hate what I do at all. Obviously, I enjoy playing games. I like talking about games, but and I feel bad because I have a lot of friends who desperately want to be in the game industry, right? And I'm here like I've worked for these people and I've done this thing or
yeah.
whatever. And they're like, "How do you keep getting them?" I'm like, "After a point, people just don't say no because you have the experience."
That is the thing.
Like it sucks, but I don't know what else to tell you. There's no secret. There's really not. I literally I tell people all the time, like, as much as I have worked hard and built up a skill set and whatever, there's still an element of luck to all this.
Yeah,
And I hate watching people want to demean other folks because they're struggling or they don't have as good a job or whatever, not realizing that every job we have has some element of luck involved.
yeah. It
You
really is
know,
so much of the right place, the right time. Almost as they say, not what you know, but who you know. Because
hell,
literally, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't be doing this.
I tell people if you have the wrong person or the right person sitting on the panel that interviews you for a job, whether
Right?
you get it or not, right? Somebody could have had a bad day
Yep.
and you said the wrong thing. Or somebody could be having a great day and you thought you bombed the interview, but they give you the job offer anyway. Like
Yep.
there's so many elements of luck across everything. And I feel like for I for me to initially get started was just a freakish situation, right?
Or my situation, if the job I'm applying for is anywhere in my local newspaper's coverage area, I can walk in the room like, never mind, he hates me. There's no
Oh
need
yeah, also true.
that person that person hates the air I breathe. I'll just leave the room now if
Yep,
they're the
because you
one.
wrote one story one time that wasn't totally flattering and that's it.
Right? As we talk about, I wish I did have the power that some people seem to think I have. I've been doing this 20 years, especially politically. I don't know that I've ever changed one person's opinion. Have never had anybody tell me, wait, I was going to vote for such and such. Now I'm going to vote for the other guy. I don't think I've ever had that happen.
Yeah, it is a little weird, even more so for what you were doing because you were writing for a paper. But there is an idea that societally we believe both influencers don't matter, but that they also affect everything.
Yeah.
And it's like neither of those is totally correct. But our influence isn't nearly as big as people want to make it out to be. Like, it's good
Mhm.
enough that we entertain you
Yeah.
and y'all probably trust us because we try to share factual information and all that stuff. So when we have a product we're promoting, y'all feel confident going and trying that product or whatever because
Yeah.
we're willing to take it on but that's kind of about as far as it goes, right? Like, there's nothing I'm going to say here that's going to affect somebody making some big investment decision
No.
or going and changing careers into something else, right? But there are certain people that will tell you, like, oh, well, you have this impact, and you're gonna do it like, I really don't, though.
If you haven't bought Madden in 10 years, even if I tell you this one's good, but you've decided, and I understand, because there's a lot of things EA has done that if I weren't getting paid to write about it, I probably wouldn't. But yeah, I'm not, there probably are a couple of people who have read my reviews and said, okay, this time I'll try it. But I mean, for the people that are die hard, I hate EA Sports and everything they stand for, yeah, they're not going to change their mind.
No, yeah, their habits are their habits at this point. So yeah, I don't know. There's just, I guess, for both of us, it wasn't really a totally conscious decision. It was just a matter of opportunity more than anything else.
Yeah.
If anything, I kind of envy some people who do get to do it more with planning. To be honest, that you could prepare for some stuff a little better.
There is it.
Because everything I know was on the job training. Effectively, it wasn't
Right.
wasn't anything I really prepped for. But all right, we're getting close to the time here. So here's a fun question. Let's wrap up with, what is your Mount Rushmore of games? You can pick any games you want. You get 4 of them.
Okay.
I think for me, I think the obvious is Magic for me because it has
Yeah.
connected me to a lot of people. I've gotten to travel. It's helped me get my foot in the door for a lot of places. Obviously, paid a lot of my bills over the years. I would say number 2, as much as I don't enjoy the game, I'm probably going to say Settlers of Catan
Yeah, definitely it's a gateway
because
game for a lot of people.
yeah, exactly. I think for people getting into board games or hobby board games where you've only played like roll and goes, like Sorry, Monopoly, whatever,
Yep.
and you're looking for a strategic board game, that's like the first one a lot of people play where they start going like, oh, I get to affect all this and I have all these decisions and I can trade cards. And, I think that opens up the door for a ton of people. And then after that, it actually gets pretty tight for me. I think I would have to put some card game in the third slot being either Uno or Spades
Yeah.
because they have been those are probably the early influences for me just learning about how to play with different people, different communities. I was the real young guy playing with adults, like all of that kind of factored into stuff to affect me later, I think. And then I feel like the fourth has to be some video game for me. And it's probably going to be one of the OGs, like Tetris or Super
Yeah,
Mario
Tetris
Brothers.
definitely is a good one.
But probably Tetris. And actually, you know what? I am going to say Tetris because I remember going to the arcade. As a matter of fact, it was like a Pizza Hut arcade, if y'all remember them.
Great.
And, people, we just had quarters lined up on the screen and people were like going at it at Tetris. And it was like this crazy thing we'd never seen before. And it was weird because Tetris probably could have been like an Atari game,
Yeah.
at its function, but it came out at the time you were playing. Hell, even after we'd played like Joust and all these other games, Street
Great.
Fighter, and like there's this cabinet with Tetris, and it's just
Yeah.
like, what? But I think that changed things about how I think about video games strategically or whatever. So
It
probably
changed it
those,
for so many people.
yeah. So I think those are going to be my 4. I think Magic, Settlers of Catan. I guess I could say Uno in another spot, and probably Tetris would probably be
Okay.
my 4.
I'm glad you went with Tetris because I had Super Mario Brothers on mine, or just
It's
not
so
even
good
necessarily.
though. Yeah,
I can almost just say Mario, and you can pick whatever game you
yeah,
want.
that's
The
fair.
Mario appeared in just the Mario in general as a game character, because almost every, especially for the first, like go even the concept of a character going from one video game to another starts with Mario because you remember Mario was the guy fighting Donkey Kong.
Hell, he
So
was
he
also he was also Dr. Mario.
Yeah, so like Mario kind of paved the way for all this, good or bad, all this Fortniteization, as people like to call it now. So yeah, definitely Mario. I guess we'd have to say Pac-Man because without Pac-Man, we don't
Oh,
video game
yeah.
industry doesn't survive long enough to get to Mario. Pac-Man was, he's on Smash Bros. And every time the kids are like, "Who are you picking?" and I'll be like, "NWO." They're like, "The biggest icon in video
Yep.
games." Bow, 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 bow. So yeah, definitely Mario, Pac-Man, and then I guess because sports games are a thing, you'd have to you got to say Madden just in
Yeah,
terms
that's
of
fair.
it was the first one. But people, I'm gonna really date myself here, but if I as if I hadn't by talking about Mario Brothers and Pac-Man, but before Madden, when we played football games, they were 7-on-7 or 6-on-6 because at that point the computers weren't powerful enough to play 11-on-11 football games. So when they approached John Madden, he said, "Look, I'm not put 7-on-7 is not pro football. I'm not putting my name on anything that's not pro football." So EA had to sit down and figure out how to garner enough processing power to play 11-on-11. Because Madden could have just done what so many celebrities do. Hey, where's my check? you
Yeah.
know,
There was a lot of that early on.
Exactly. And who's to say if we ever got good football games, if he hadn't said, "No, I want it to be real football and I want people to be able to learn about football." Because to this day, he's gone now, but he would say it drove him crazy when people, fourth down and infinity and they go for it because it's not football. He's
Yeah,
throwing
that's
crazy.
true.
And then number 4 is totally for me. It probably I don't know how the other people even know this game, but I love tactical strategy games with grids and rock paper scissors type stuff. So Final Fantasy Tactics was the game. It introduced me to that whole genre, and I've been obsessed with that genre of games ever since.
That's fair. That's a good one. I will say this for video games, I almost put in Street Fighter 2.
In terms of fighting games, that really is kind of without if Street Fighter and its success, I don't even know if we're still playing
Like,
fighting
I
games.
don't think people realize Street Fighter 2 made so much money that they just kept making more versions of Street Fighter 2 instead of
Right?
making Street Fighter 3. Because we had like Turbo Street Fighter 2 and like, whatever. It was just
Super
like, oh,
Fighting Edition.
yeah, it was just like, oh, we added 2 characters, or this person got more outfits, or now they
Right.
just move faster, or whatever. But
You
people
talk
kept
about
playing
things
them.
you talk about the trends that started that are both good for the company yet possibly bad for consumers. Street Fighter and taking what was it, something like 16, 17 years in real time before we counted from 2
Yeah.
to 3.
But even in that thing, we had like 4 or 5 different versions of Street Fighter 2 waiting on Street Fighter 3. Now, since then, we've got a new one every couple of years or
Yeah,
whatever it
we're up
feels
to
like.
6 now, I believe.
Yeah. But it took a long time to get to Street Fighter 3, which is kind of crazy.
And I saw Justin Wong posted a video today talking about, can we just admit Guile is broken? I'm like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We
Dude,
were
from way
having
back in the day.
30 years ago, it feels like, because I think we were.
Oh, that's so good. That's so funny.
The one thing you got to remember, Guile's music goes with everything.
Yep. It kind of does, though.
It really.
All right. On that note, I think we're going to wrap things up, dude. Why don't you tell everybody they can find you on social media?
Right. I am Brian Sonic on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and for my writing, you can go to gamesighted.com.
And you can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn, and lots of stuff going up on the YouTube channel and maybe some fun surprises. So you may want to follow me. Also, I've had some crazy stuff on socials for conversation if you just want to hop into
Yeah,
those.
yes.
But as always, wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome, and most importantly, be awesome to each other.